The project that I will present you is a project that we developed to mitigate or to prevent wildlife vehicle collisions on roads and on rail. It's a research and deployment project that we are running for 3 years now in Austria. First of all, I would like to give you just an overview of the railway network in Austria. So I'm representing the Federal Railways, the infrastructure subgroup, which is the largest operator, builder, planner, and maintainer of railway infrastructure in Austria, with about a little bit less than 5,000 kilometers of network, representing 10,000 kilometers of tracks. There's a lot of investment going on also in the railway sector in Austria. We are happy about that finally the politicians try to make this modal split better and switch it from a little bit from road to rail. So there's a lot of investment going on, a lot of new lines are built, and one of the very crucial assets that we also have is that we also run power plants. So we also own power plants, 10 hydropower plants, which supply about 1/3 of the electricity that we need for electric traction. So this is just the background for the railway I'm representing in Austria. Why did we, what were our aims in this project? First of all, we are quite convinced that the railway is a low barrier infrastructure. It is crossable and easy to walk over for most of the animals that we have in mind. The only real danger is when the train comes. But the train frequencies, of course, are much lower than on roads in most of the cases. So the situation in Austria is that we also don't have to fence the railway, and we only have to fence it if we need to guide animals, for structures like this green bridge. But we do not fence it. So another main driver for this project, of course, is that we would like to, if it is possible, to avoid to construct such huge bridges, which are very expensive, of course. If we keep the railway permeable for the animals and only protect them from collisions, then maybe we could also spare 1 or 2 of these, any now and then, of these constructions. Those of you who were patient enough to wait for the awards on Tuesday maybe remember this bridge. It was the one that won the award with this concrete shell. Another motive, of course, is also to reduce costs of removal from the carcasses, and repair costs are not that big issue in our case, but in many other countries they are, like in Scandinavian countries. We don't have moose and elk, so we don't collide with such big animals. But of course, sometimes there are also damages on the trains. Of course, we want to reduce the wildlife vehicle collisions. And another aspect is the species protection. So rare species, protected species, we don't want to have them killed by the train. And another aspect that hasn't been discussed, I think, so far in this conference is that we also have, I would call it, secondary collisions. So especially in winter time, when a deer carcass is not removed, it can attract birds of prey. And this is what this picture below shows, that also big birds of prey are attracted by carcasses if they are not removed quick enough. And that can cause this, a secondary collision. And if we prevent the first collision, of course, we also prevent the secondary one. Another motive is to implement the best available technology in the guidelines. So far there is no technology available for railways. There are a lot of different wildlife deterring systems for the roads, but not for rail. So that's one of the reasons that we also want to develop a new device for the railway sector. And of course, also hunters are a very influential stakeholder group in Austria, and they always demand that their deer and hunting game is protected from collisions. Of course, we also have to seek the dialogue with them. On the picture, you could also see on the right upper corner, you see that the wire is protected with a insulation cap. This is a measure that we do to protect also big birds of prey when they sit on the pole to get an electrocution. It's just as a side note, because it's visible on the picture, the red plastic cover on the electrical wire. Okay, the project will last for 4 years. We had to extend it due to COVID. We were a little bit delayed. The total project budget may be interesting for you is 420,000 euros. We have 16 large test sites across Austria, where also the functionality and the efficacy of the system is tested. And we have 5 test sites on the national roads, on the highways. We have 5 railway sites, and we have also we have 6 test sites on the national highway. Yeah, we will prove the efficacy of the system with the accident records that we have. We have statistics, because every railway driver, when he hits something, he has to make a record. So we know about how many collisions we have in the network. Of course, there's a big dark number, I would say, where the driver does not realize that he hit something. There were also observations of the wildlife behavior, and we used video monitoring, but unfortunately only on the road. So we have no real video images from the animal behavior on our railway test sites. Yeah, and of course the results will be compared before and after the installation of the wildlife vehicle collision systems. These are the project partners. One of the big partners for this type of research is the ministry, which has changed in the meantime and became our so-called super ministry, because they are now also in charge not only of mobility, but also of environment, climate protection, energy, and innovation and technology. So this is so that's why we call it super ministerium. I would say it's a role model how to bring together two very conflicting interests: climate protection, environmental protection, and transport. So now it's under one roof. The other paying partners are, of course, our company, the Austrian Federal Railways, and the Austrian Highways are also project partners. And the national roads, they are within the project, but they don't have to pay for it. So they luckily benefit from it. And then we have the contractors, which is iPTE, the company who developed these devices. We also had the Austrian Institute of Technology on board, which was testing the optical and the acoustical signals in a laboratory, and we have had a wildlife ecologist with us. This map shows you the test sites. The red stars indicate the test sites on the railway network. The green ones show you the test sites on the highways, and the blue ones on the state roads. I, of course, will focus on the test sites on rail. We tried to pick different situations. We tried to pick different transport situations, different landscape situations, and different challenges, so to say. In total, we have an overall length of 9.5 kilometers now that are equipped with the system, where we can check if it is working. You can see one of these DD461 devices on the picture here. Of course, wildlife collisions are a problem worldwide. I also already told you what were our motives. We have also a test site on a high performance line, how we call it in Austria, where the trains are running up to 230 kilometers, which makes a very specific challenge for the systems, because they have to react accordingly with such high velocities. All the poles are also equipped with a sticker, which is important to prevent them from vandalism, that the people see, okay, this is done for protecting the animals, and this is not done to observe the driver or the people. Yeah, there was a new model developed within the project. It's called DD461. You can see one example on the table. It has a much stronger audio alert with up to 93 dB. It has more LED flashes than the former model. And the audio system can also be adapted with human voices or with animal voices, whatever, so you can change the trigger or the signal for the animals. It's also the one advantage is that it's enough to install it on one side of the track, because it's signaling on both sides, which makes it safer for installation, because you don't have to cross the rail if you just have to install it on one side. It also contains 2 solar panels instead of one, which makes it last longer. It can also withstand longer periods with bad weather, so you're not losing the functionality if the sun is not shining. Because it also carries 2 batteries instead of one, and yeah, it's directly fitting on the mounting pole, so the whole roll-up and setup is done in a few minutes. It's very easy and quick to install. Just to show you that there are also other options on the market. Maybe you have heard about the system that they are using in Poland. It was developed by the company Nail already in 2007, and they use it a lot in Poland, as far as I know. The main idea is that they have an audio system which is displaying alarm sounds of different animals, of a bright variety of animals, so that any animal that is around can hear its personal alarm call, so to say. This is the idea of this system, and it seems to work. We have installed it on, I think, on several hundred kilometers now. The drawback is that it is quite heavy. You see, it's a massive column, which may cause maybe a problem for maintenance and other works on the railway. And yeah, it needs wired power, so you need to have electricity supply there, which in our case is not important, yeah, because they are self-sufficient with the solar panels. Yeah, this is just a technical picture showing you the details of this model. I have also some information from the company. If you are interested, there are leaflets on the table, so I will not explain that in detail. It's also quite cost efficient, approximately 12 to 20,000 euros per kilometer are the costs for the installation, and you can group up to 40 devices with one trigger, and you can use different triggers. You can use optical triggers, thermal triggers, and also radar remote trigger, which would be the best, of course. So we are hoping that once we will get also a radar trigger, because then you adapt the signal very good to the train speed. Yeah, and these devices outside are also connected with the internet through a remote, through a gateway, and so you have the possibility to have a mobile control, mobile devices control on your smartphone or on your laptop. The next two pictures just give you an example of our test site. There is one test site we have on the northeastern border of Austria. It's actually within the Alps-Carpathian corridor, so an international migration corridor for the animals. It's along the river Mark, moreover, on the border. And we have train speeds there up to 140 kilometers. And this traction will also be upgraded soon. So we will maybe also have higher train speeds there in the future. And that's why we tested the system there. We have 3 sections. Each of them are 1.2 kilometers long. And each section is equipped with 40 of these devices in a spacing of 30 meters. And you also see that the poles of the devices are only on one side of the rail. So you don't have to cross these 2-lined tracks, which of course makes it easier and safer to install it and to maintain it. Another test site that we chose is in a rural landscape as well. And I'm afraid you will not see it on this aerial view, but the landscape there is very cleared. Yeah? There's a very intensively used agricultural landscape, and the only structure you find there is along the railway, the hedges along the railway. So that's the reason why we have a lot of collisions in this area, a lot of collisions with deer and rabbits, and they made a physical inspection there in March 2021, and only on a section of 1.2 kilometers they found 23 killed animals along the track, and 5 roe deer, 9 rabbits, foxes, birds, and so on, and also birds of prey, which I already explained may be due to secondary collisions. Then the system was installed, and they made a second physical inspection there in March this year, and they only found 5 remains of the killed animals that they already found the year before. So the assumption is that, of course, the system is working and the collision rates are reduced. But one of our goals is to verify that in the next years, because we need some video coverage of the behavior of the animals, which we are lacking at the moment. One point I forgot to mention in the beginning, Andreas Schalk, who is from this company, and me, we were discussing how to call these devices, because he used the term virtual fence, and I proposed to call it wildlife deterring system, and then I looked it up in the handbook, in the traffic and wildlife handbook, but I didn't find any explanation in the glossary. So maybe we should add that to give definitions. So what do we mean with virtual fence? What do we mean with wildlife deterring system? And there are some other expressions around. So you see, there's the internet gateway is also supplied with a solar panel, and you can upload an application on your mobile phone or on your laptop, and then you have real-time information about the battery charge, the solar intensity, temperature on the site, is the pole still in the upright position, is there connectivity, how much alerts has it recorded, and so on. So this is a very comfortable way of having control of these devices. This is my last slide. It shows you one of our test sites. where we have these quite high train speeds. And yeah, the hope is that we will prove also the efficacy for the animals, and that if we have some surveillance of the reaction, and that we once also can include it in our guidelines in Austria, that some of these devices are also recommended for the use to prevent animal collisions. So I hope everything was understandable, and if you have any questions, I'm still here, and you can also find further information in the leaflets on the table. Thank you.
Hello, very nice, very, very nice. Do you know how different species react to the noises, to the sound of the devices?
Yeah, that's one of the information lacks that we still have. We observe that we reduced the collision, but we don't know the reaction of the animals because we have no video surveillance at the moment. We try to have that in the next year. We have some video coverage of devices that were installed at the road sector. So, but I haven't seen these videos, I have to admit. But there are a few videos, and we want to do that in the next year.
And the second question, if I may.
Yeah.
How resistant are they? I mean, can be easily stolen or destroyed?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, which was one of my concerns, that there will be vandalism and they will be stolen. But as far as up to date, that's not really a problem. We also have the stickers on each of the poles, so that people understand this is really to protect animals, and it's a research project, and it's more a problem, I think, on the roadside, because there are the drivers, and they are afraid that they are controlled by the state, or there are new types of radar traps or whatever. So on the roadside, it sometimes happens that they get stolen or destroyed, but on the railways, you have no problems so far.
How are you going to test for habituation? I mean, it could work now, and then in 2-3 years it won't work as well.
Yeah.
That's one question. And the other question is, I don't know if it's the same system, but it might be. Do you know Stefan Suter from the Fachhochschule Wädenswil? He's doing video of behavior, and I think it's on the same system.
I'm not aware of that, but maybe we should ask Andreas Schalk, who is still, I think, in the house. And yes, the habituation might be a problem, but you can vary the signal a lot. You can vary it in the loudness. You can vary the optical signal. You can of course also use human voice. You can use animal voices. So there's a lot of variability in the system. So that's the hope is that if you encounter any habituation, that you just change the warning, the alarm sounds a bit, and then the animals would react again. But this is a good point, and we would like to test it. In fact, yeah, we're also talking with Andreas Seiler that they may include that in their testing system.
Yeah, sorry. I just you should really go and talk to Andreas Seiler, because there are 2 big studies having recording animals with different sound systems. So I think they've been quite clear that the human voice is much more efficient in scaring the animals.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what the system enables. You can also use human voices if you like.